Welcome and thank you for clicking on this video. Your time is much appreciated. Before I say anything more, I'll direct your attention down to the YouTube timeline where I've split it into sections going over the various things I want to talk about, so you can jump to whatever section you want to. Today I am going to quickly look at the early access game called Dorf Romantik. Now that's my pronunciation, but we'll stick with it. And if at any stage you find yourself enjoying this video, do consider hulking out on that sub or like button, because the vast majority of people that watch my videos are not subscribed. Let's get on with it. This video is going to be short and to the point, and I'm going to tell you what this game is like to play after 40 hours of gameplay, and there is the proof. I'm going to split this video into 4 sections. The basics of the game, what is the game about, the good stuff, the bad stuff, and then my overall opinion. The basics of the game. Dorf Romantik is an early access game released onto Steam in May of 2021 for about US $10. That's pretty damn cheap. It is developed by 4 German game design students from Berlin who founded the studio Toukana. I'll stick with that pronunciation again. Under whose umbrella Dorf Romantik has been made. Steam user reviews are overwhelmingly positive, and that's a pretty good start to all this. Having played the game for 40 hours, this game is essentially a board or a card game where you build a world with villages, rivers, forests, trains, fields and grasslands all within it. It is a very peaceful game which you can play at your own pace. The objective of the game is to build a world and to gather points by completing quests and placing the tiles well. And you ultimately set yourself a high score, and then your subsequent games are about trying to beat that. And as you go about trying to beat that score and throughout the game, there are various challenges and rewards which you can unlock as you progress, and you get new tiles to expand the look of your little world. When you start the game, you'll have 40 tiles. These are random. The early tiles will tend to have easier quests, and later on they will get harder. And these quests are tiles that you need to link together, so to speak, and if you link them together, you get points. And not only do you get points, but when you complete these quests, you get extra tiles added to your stack. And this is a key focus of the game, that is to increase your stack of tiles, because quite simply, the more you have, the more tiles you can play, the more quests you complete, the more points you are likely to accumulate. And the game ends when you run out of tiles, and you either will be happy with your score or you're going to be sad, depending on how things pan out. But at any stage during the game you can bail out and start again. Now I just want to remind everyone that watches this video that this game is in early access, so gameplay will change over time. What I'm reviewing here will not be the state of the game in a year's time. And the devs have put out a roadmap about the game. And you can find this on their Steam page, and you can see that they've got 3 big updates planned: creative mode, performance upgrades, save games, balancing upgrade, more special tiles, more challenges, more biomes, new game mode, community challenge, custom seeds, rule customization. There's some good stuff to come, and if they do implement some of those features and they implement them well, some of the stuff I'm going to talk about in this video may in fact get fixed. The good points. The game is simple enough that you can get straight into it. There is a simple tutorial which is quite well done. You can quickly watch that and then you're into the game, up and running. The colours they use in the game are both vibrant in the tiles, but with soft pastel-y colours in the background. It is quite soothing. I like that. The games are long enough, around 40 minutes give or take, so you can really get into them, but not overly long or too short, if that makes sense. And regardless, you can always just walk away, go make yourself a drink or a coffee, whatever you want, as the game just waits there for you to return. The worlds you make are really beautiful. In a sort of a cartoony way, they really look good. The animations of the boats and the trains are great and bring a real aliveness to much of your creation. That is quite well done. Not perfect, we'll talk about that in a sec, but quite well done. After I'd played about 8 or 10 hours or so, I realised that the game wasn't as simple as I thought it was. There was actually quite a hidden depth to it. And once you get your head around that, the game does tend to slow down a bit because you get much more careful in your tile placement. And without going into too much detail here, when you place your tiles, you are always looking for probably one of 4 things. You're looking to complete quests, looking to place perfect tiles, that is, they match all the tiles around them. You're looking to complete the challenges, or you're just looking to unlock new tiles by progressing your world towards these hidden gems, which as you go over them, they unlock these new tiles. And generally, if you can't immediately do any of the above, you are placing your tiles carefully because you're trying to work out where your next scoring opportunity will be. So you're starting to play the tiles, not just what's in front of you, but you're trying to anticipate what's coming up. There's a hidden depth to this game. Another nice feature is the rewards system and the challenges that these give you in the game. They start off pretty easy at what you call the level 1 challenges, but they get diabolically hard when you get up to like the level 3 challenges, and they can take you many games to try and achieve those. It feels quite balanced and it feels right in the game, this system. The bad stuff. Now, I'm going to start off with what I consider to be the big issue with the game. The game is a little too random. To give you an idea, I actually set my high score at about hour 10 or 12 in the game, and I really was not as good at the game at hour 10 or 12 as I was towards the end of my time in the game. But it took me so long to beat that high score. But why was that? And this is the point. Because ultimately, the primary driver of how well my game is going to do is purely down to the luck and the randomness of my tile draw. Now, you can overcome the sum of this with your skill and knowledge, but it is the primary driver of how your game is going to pan out is the random nature of your stack of tiles. So that game that I set my high score in all those many hours ago, I actually just got super lucky with the tiles. And despite me now being really pretty good at it and really careful with my tile placement and knowing how it all works, I only quite recently beat my high score. So it isn't perfect because at times I felt like I was subjected to the game, that it controlled the gameplay too much and I didn't control it. And to me that was quite a flaw in the game. They need to work on your skill having a bigger impact on the game and your skill reflecting in the score. It's not quite balanced yet. Another thing that could be worked on quite a bit is that there is not a huge variety of tiles. They look really good, don't get me wrong. There is a standard set of stuff, and then there are a lot of unlocks and variations on those standard sets, and I'd really just like to see a greater range of tiles. I'd love to see a greater diversity to that little world that I create. And similar in tone, I would love to see people, little animated people doing something in the game. You have the trains going around, you have the boats going around, you have some animals, but if we're creating a world, we want to see people, and I think there's room for if you place a field or a farm tile, maybe having someone tilling the field or something like that, it just seemed a little bit shallow without having people in it and people things happening. When you do finish games and have made your little world, so to speak, you want it to be like a little world, but because of the way the game is, it has tile gaps in it. So you can have a nice section, but then it's got this big gappy bit and then another nice section of your map, because ultimately you're just chasing points, not beauty. Now, I am pretty confident that this is going to be fixed in the creative mode of the game that is coming, but unless there is a much bigger and diverse array of tiles, I think the appeal of that creative mode could be very short-lived, and they need to really work on that aspect of the game. Another thing is there is no mid-game save feature. So I can walk away from the game and come back, but I can't stop the game, save it and restart. That was odd. There is also another little feature in the game when you're placing tiles down, like a forest will be the one you notice the most, where you place a forest down and you complete one of the quests and then it urges you to almost close off the forest. It's trying to get you to place tiles on the outskirts of your forest to finish the forest off, but it flies in the face of the game itself, because you know that you need to build very big forests, because later game the quests are going to be to build big forests. So if you do close off your forest like the game often urges you to do, you can't complete the quest. That is a very, very odd mechanic. Now, I did promise that this would be short and sweet. With that in mind, this is my opinion on the game. Dorf Romantik would definitely be best described as a casual early access indie game, which is a tile or board focus. It is very soothing to play and you can play it at your own pace. It is very cheap, and to be honest, it is very good. At times, I found the game to be quite compelling with a real Moorish, I'll give it one more go sort of feel. I often found myself leaning into the screen, looking closely at the tiles, scanning the map for that perfect placement to maximize my score. And that's a good sign when you're leaning into a game. Now, is it perfect? No. Is it worth US $10? Hell yes. Get this game, chuck it on your desktop, and you'll likely find yourself returning to it over and over for short stints at a time. Well done to the small dev team, and I hope you enjoyed this very quick 40-hour gameplay review. Yet again, something like 95% of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, so I'd always appreciate a sub. That helps me out a lot because I'm a small YouTuber. And please, please, please stick some comments in if you like this or what you don't like a game, because I read every single one and I like talking to people. I love discussing things. Thanks for watching. See you in the next chapter.